It's an exciting year for Xbox. The next generation is getting closer and closer, and we've just had our first peek at the tech specs of the Xbox Series X and what this ridiculously powerful console is going to be capable of. As ever with specs though, there's a lot of technical jargon to chew through, so strap in as we take you through the 15 things you absolutely need to know about the Xbox Series X and what it all means for you as an Xbox gamer. First up, it's everyone's favorite buzzword. Let's talk teraflops. As a quick explanation, flop stands for floating point operations per second, and the tera is the next step up from mega and giga, meaning a trillion. So basically, it's a handy all-encompassing phrase to measure the power of a processor. In this case, the Series X's GPU or graphics card, which is rocking 12 teraflops, which, as we now know, is 12 trillion flops. That's a lot of flops. There's plenty more to say about the Series X's processor. It's custom designed using the latest Zen 2 and RDNA 2 architectures from AMD, but what you really need to know about this bad boy is that it's going to be capable of delivering 4 times the processing power of an Xbox One. From teraflops onto another word that you've probably heard a lot recently, Raytracing. It's one of the most significant graphical advances we've seen in the last couple of years because it's the same technology used by movie visuals FX departments to make sure their CG looks as lifelike as possible. Ray tracing simulates every single ray of light and the way it interacts with characters or objects that it hits. In other words, it traces rays, hence the name. The Xbox Series X will be the first console ever to feature hardware-accelerated DirectX ray tracing, and it's not just good for improving lighting, shadows, and reflections, it also improves audio by making the acoustics of game worlds more realistic. Just don't ask us how that last one works, okay? So one thing that's becoming pretty clear, if we get nothing else out of this console generation, is that it's definitely going to expand our vocabulary of technical terms. Like the next point on our Xbox Series X rundown, variable rate shading, or VRS for short. This is a technology which gives game developers more controls over how they render pixels. As we heard in a recent dev blog about VRS, not all pixels are created equal. There are certain areas of the screen where you're really going to benefit from a little extra detail. So by using VRS, developers can focus resources on the same areas you're going to be focusing your attention on. So all the important characters and objects appear in the highest possible resolution. This means none of that graphics power needs to go to waste. By prioritizing the most important areas of an image, you can have a beautifully crisp gaming experience without having to sacrifice frame rates. And speaking of frame rates, games on the Xbox Series X are going to run at 60 FPS as standard to ensure a smooth, responsive play experience. But the console will actually support frame rates of up to 120 FPS. So developers will be able to utilize higher frame rates for heightened realism or fast-paced action, according to Phil Spencer, and the man would definitely know. So games are going to look better and sound better, but one of the biggest jumps you might not be expecting is how much faster games are going to be. Xbox Series X is making the move from a traditional hard drive to an SSD or solid-state drive, which is capable of much faster speeds. What that means for your games is, well, you can say goodbye to long loading screens. It's going to be possible to make game worlds that are bigger than ever before, which load in a flash and let you fast travel across them without any delay. And speaking of speed, there's another big change that's going to let you jump into your games quicker than ever before. You know that feeling where you want to switch games, but you know that if you shut down the one you're currently playing, it's going to take ages to start up again next time. Well, the Xbox Series X is going to solve that with the introduction of the Quick Resume feature. This will let you keep multiple games in a suspended state and then fire them back up almost instantly, returning to exactly where you left off without having to wait through long load times, even if you've restarted your console in the meantime. Finally, we won't have to choose between being energy conscious and a speedy gaming experience. But wait, there are even more ways that the Xbox Series X is going to make your gaming experience speedier than ever before. It's also got HDMI 2.1 compatibility, which is the new standard of cables for everyone's favorite socket on the back of the telly. The connectors themselves aren't going to change, but these new HDMI cables allow for way more bandwidth, effectively cutting down the distance between console and screen. The Xbox Series X will also support two new features of HDMI 2.1. Auto low latency mode, which automatically sets whatever display you're using to its lowest latency setting, and variable refresh rate, which synchronizes the display's refresh rate to the game's frame rate to avoid tearing. In layman's terms, games are just going to feel that bit more responsive and precise. And the Xbox Series X's controller is getting the same treatment, thanks to the introduction of dynamic latency input, which synchronizes input immediately with what is displayed and makes sure the game is responding to what you pressed instantly, even if it happened between frames, something that's going to be super important when games are running as high as 120 FPS. It does, however, mean that you're going to have absolutely no excuse for missing that headshot or missing that combo. Sorry. And speaking of the controller, the Xbox Series X is going to ship with a brand new controller that takes the very best things about the Xbox One design and tweaks it just a little to make the best controller around even better. There's a new share button right in the middle of the controller to make taking screenshots and recording video even easier, and a hybrid D-pad inspired by the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. And you'll even be able to use it on your Xbox One or Windows 10 PC. And that cross-generation controlling cuts both ways, so if you're already packing an Elite Series 2 or in fact any Xbox One controller, don't worry, as Xbox Series X is bringing backwards compatibility to accessories as well as games. That's right, any controller you currently use on your Xbox One, you'll be able to carry over and use on the Xbox Series X. So get planning those launch night parties because you won't have to buy any new controllers to have a few friends over for some gaming. Also, how can we not talk about how good the Xbox Series X looks? Because I feel it's just gonna fit in anyone's setup, whatever it is. If you want it to stand vertical on your desk, you can do that, or under your TV horizontally, you can do that. The perfect all-round design. But okay, talking tech is great and all, but as Big Phil himself said in the announcement, more power is just part of the story. So let's dive into the most important thing about any console, the games. The confirmed lineup for the Xbox Series X is growing, with big hitters like Cyberpunk 2077, Rainbow Six, and Outriders already on the roster. But the thing to get really excited about is what's coming from Xbox Game Studios. There are now 15 game development studios under the Xbox umbrella. We've had our first glimpse of what they'll be bringing to the Xbox Series X in the form of two games. Halo Infinite from 343 Industries, and Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 from Ninja Theory. The first trailers for both these titles show off just what the next generation graphics are going to look like, and honestly, we are ready for it. And of course, when we're talking games on Xbox, there's a pretty big elephant in the room. But don't worry, because Xbox Game Pass is going nowhere. And it's going to keep bringing us those big first-party games. We're talking things like Halo Infinite included as part of your subscription on day one of launch. There's one big bit of news that guarantees you're going to have literally thousands of games to play as soon as your console arrives. Xbox Series X is going to support 4 generations of Xbox console games. You'll be able to play Xbox, Xbox 360, and Xbox One games, and they'll all look better than ever before, playing in higher resolutions with steadier frame rates and faster load times. It's a perfect chance to go back and revisit all those old favorites. There's one final piece to the back-compat puzzle. What about those games coming out on both Xbox One and the Xbox Series X? Again, Xbox has got you covered with smart delivery. This means that if you buy any of those first-party, cross-gen titles on Xbox One, like, for example, Halo Infinite, and then you want to keep playing it on your shiny new console, you'll get the Xbox Series X version totally free. This feature is going to be open to all developers and publishers, not just Xbox Game Studios. And CD Projekt Red has already confirmed that Cyberpunk 2077 will offer smart delivery, so buying it on your current console means you'll get the Xbox Series X version for free as soon as it arrives. So that's the Xbox Series X. For the latest updates on the next console generation, make sure you subscribe to the Xbox On channel and hit that bell to get notifications for every new video as it drops. Let us know what you're most excited about down in the comments. Hit that like button. We'll see you next time. Bye.